Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are diving into something that we literally grapple with every single day. Yet, if we're being honest, we rarely actually understand. I'm talking about human behavior. Have you ever just been completely baffled by someone's actions? Or, maybe even your own? Well, we're going to take a really structured deep dive into the hidden forces that drive us. And we're using Robert Greene's fantastic introduction to his book, The Laws of Human Nature, to do it. We're going to decode the very essence of why we do what we do. It's going to be fascinating.
To set the stage here, the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer offered this really provocative idea. He suggested that when we come across meanness or stupidity in other people, we shouldn't let it distress us. Instead, we should look at it like a mineralogist who just stumbled upon a brand new rock specimen. Think about that. What a cool, completely different perspective, right? He's basically urging us to adopt this cold, highly analytical mindset whenever we face the darker sides of humanity. So rather than reacting emotionally and getting all worked up, we just view it as a new piece of data, in addition to our knowledge. And honestly, that is the exact mindset we need to keep as we go through this analysis today.
So, let's see how this builds. Part 1, the illusion of control.
So why do toxic colleagues continually catch us off guard? I mean, really think about it. Throughout our lives, we all inevitably run into individuals who just seem to stir up trouble wherever they go. They might be outright aggressive, or maybe they're just absolute masters of passive aggression. And the thing is, at first, they usually seem incredibly charming. They're brimming with confidence, and we just kind of easily fall right under their spell. But then, later on, we find out that confidence was entirely a front. Suddenly, they're secretly sabotaging our work out of envy, or just totally using us as a stepping stone. And you know what the most frustrating part is? We are always caught off guard. They use these elaborate cover stories, they find handy scapegoats, and before we know it, we are dragged into a drama that they are completely controlling. By the time we actually realize what's happening, well, the emotional damage is already done.
But, we can't just sit here pointing fingers at everyone else. Let's pivot and focus inward for a second. Why do we sometimes suddenly say something that completely offends a boss or a close friend, seemingly out of absolutely nowhere? Or why do we enthusiastically throw all our time and energy into these really foolish projects? Or, and I'm sure we've all been there, why do we fall helplessly in love with the exact wrong partner when we know full well it is a terrible idea? Like, what actually comes over us in these moments of self-sabotage? Well, the source material actually refers to this phenomenon as the stranger within. It's like, it feels as if we harbor this little demon operating totally independently of our own willpower. And when we act out of character, what do? We usually just settle for these super convenient, shallow excuses. We say things like, oh, something just came over me, or I just wasn't myself today, right? We've all said it. But the source argues that these little pat explanations are completely ignoring the real, hidden force that's actually pulling our strings. Basically, we're just living on the surface. We're settling for the most convenient story instead of doing the hard work of investigating that stranger inside of us. To find the true root causes of all this, we actually have to travel back in time. Part 2, our deep evolutionary roots. Okay, so for thousands of years, we've been laboring under this completely falsified self-image. We love to imagine that we descended magically from some divine source, right? That we're these highly rational, angelic beings. But our actual origins reveal a much more uncomfortable reality. We descended from primates. We are animals. We are deeply driven by primitive emotions and intense tribalism. And look, we tend to find those animal roots pretty distressing, so we just repress them. But here's the catch. Ignoring them is exactly what makes us so incredibly vulnerable to them in the first place. Which brings us to a really precise definition of human nature. See, it's not some mystical or abstract concept floating out there. It is a strict biological reality. It's the entire collection of forces that stem directly from the actual wiring of our brains, the configuration of our nervous system, and exactly how we process emotions. This nature was formed over 5 million years of evolution as a social species. So our behavior isn't just conscious will, it's our complex nervous system instantly reacting to these ancient, deeply ingrained triggers. Let's actually trace how that biological reality evolved into what we see happening today. Going way back, 5 million years ago, our early ancestors had to evolve high-level social cooperation just to survive, period. And before language was even invented, they developed complex emotions, things like joy, shame, resentment, and the crucial ability to instantly read these on each other's faces. This made them highly, highly permeable to the emotions of the group. Fast forward to early hunter-gatherer cultures, and we see the development of strict tribal status ranking, something we actually still share with chimpanzees. Bringing it all the way to the modern day, it's crazy, but these ancient survival mechanisms still completely dictate our lives right now. That intense emotional permeability I just mentioned, that is exactly why viral outrage and emotional contagion just sweep through social media so easily. Our primitive need for a tribe now finds these virtual echo chambers where we can just demonize outsiders. So yeah, our technology has advanced at lightning speed, but it is being driven by the exact same primal forces.
So, the big question, how do we regain control? Part 3, a codebook for behavior. Robert Greene's The Laws of Human Nature acts as a literal codebook for this exact problem. By gathering insights from 100 years of psychology, brain science, and history, it pieces together this brutally realistic appraisal of our species. It just totally strips away all our moral judgments and simply provides the raw evidence of who we actually are. This is the resource, the magical key, if you will, that we need to finally decipher all ordinary, strange, and downright destructive human behavior.
Inside this text, the author identifies these specific, elemental forces that reliably drive her actions, often totally beneath our conscious awareness. We're talking about envy, grandiosity, irrationality, short-sightedness, conformity, and aggression. Now, we tend to think of these as just isolated incidents, right? Or maybe just someone having a bad mood. But the source asserts that these are fundamental drives. Under their influence, humans react in highly predictable ways. By learning to actually identify these forces, you stop just blindly guessing why people are acting strangely, and you start seeing the underlying code. It's almost like seeing the Matrix for the first time.
So, what actually happens when you apply this codebook to your own life? Part 4, the power of self-mastering. The source material promises that immersing yourself in these laws is going to radically alter your perspective, basically leading to unparalleled social intelligence. And here is exactly how that shift happens, broken on into 4 clear steps. Step 1, you become a calmer observer. When you realize people are often just projecting decades of their own insecurities onto you, you finally stop taking their insults personally. It just completely frees you from that emotional drain. Step 2, you master interpreting subtle cues. Look, people wear masks. They love playing the progressive saint to hide their shadow side. You have to learn to mistrust those first impressions and really read the small details. Step 3, you outthink toxic types. Because you can now spot their bluster and insecurity way in advance, their intimidation tactics just fall flat. You literally cut them down to size in your own mind. And finally, step 4, you alter your own negative patterns. You realize, hey, I'm not superior either. You embrace your own shadow, which actually relieves you of all your own hypocrisies. To summarize the absolutely empowering benefits of this perspective shift. First off, you stop taking things personally. You drop that exhausting, totally falsified saint self-image. You neutralize the intimidation of manipulators because you can see right through their little cover stories. And ultimately, by cutting off your own incessant interior monologue and truly observing the people around you, you create much deeper, much more satisfying, empathetic bonds with others. You are literally moving from being a passive slave of human nature to an active master of it. How incredible is that? Which leaves us with this final, really provocative question. Human nature is stronger than any individual, and just ignoring its laws simply dooms you to repeat patterns that are way beyond your control. I mean, we've seen the evidence today. So what's it going to be? Are you going to continue relying on those shallow excuses, just allowing yourself to be moved around like a pawn by your evolutionary wiring? Or will you finally look past the illusion, embrace your shadow side, and face the stranger within? The choice, and the mastery that follows, is entirely yours.